financial sector, from donors, from academia, and from the different organizations where my colleague, the country program manager for IFPRI, Hyacinth Edeweed, led that session. So, and then following that, we have a questions and answer session. So we keep all the questions and answers towards the end so that we have a flow of questions. If you have any question from the first session or from the panel session, please just keep with those questions with you, and then we go at the end. And of course, finally, we have a closing remarks again from Claudia Ringler from IFPRI. So that's how we structure the session. And now I would like to invite Claudia Ringler, Director for Natural Resources and the Resilience Unit at IFPRI. She just arrived today, and she's here with us to introduce the program and to have opening remarks. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Pedro, for the kind introduction, and we'll dive right in. I guess the first question is, why do we talk about CAADP at an irrigation event? And the reason is that we are irrigating not just to use water resources, we irrigate because of agriculture, production, and agri-food systems. So basically, irrigation is part of a larger continuum. It's an essential part, an essential component to produce food. And this CAADP declaration that was just ratified in January in Kampala has, for the first time, a very strong focus on agriculture, water management, and on irrigation. And of course, we know why that is. We have climate change, we have population growth, we have severe undernutrition, and so we need to produce more food also in a dry season. And so this is the statement from the CAADP declaration that was ratified in January. On sustainable water management. And so that covers rain-fed water management as well as irrigation. And it talks about the need to access reliable and sufficient water resources. It relates to nutrition security because irrigation generally supports vegetables, fruits, animal foods. And so it's really not just to produce more food, but it's also to produce better food. And so this didn't come through that well, but this is the overall framework of the CAADP declaration or the CAADP program. It has basically 6 strategic objectives, and I'll show you now all of the ones that are circled in red have a very clear connection to agriculture, water management, and irrigation. And so IFPRI was actually deeply involved in developing this framework together with people across Africa. So the first key intervention area is to intensify sustainable food production, agro-industrialization, and trade. And so irrigation is part of the agriculture inputs that have to be improved to basically accelerate agriculture in Africa. And specifically, again, the declaration or the program, the strategy mentions to increase the adoption of smart agricultural water management solutions for more efficient and equitable use of the continent's water resources. The strategic objective 3 focuses directly on food and nutrition security because the last CAADP strategy focused on agriculture. This one focuses on agri-food systems. So we want to make sure that we are not just producing more food, but that also that we are able to consume better food and that we have better nutrition outcomes. And so clearly, the specific ask or the specific suggestion here is to integrate nutrition-sensitive interventions in the agriculture sector, and irrigation is a nutrition-sensitive intervention. So we are right there. Objective 4 of the CAADP strategy talks about specifically investing in better services and infrastructure, and they single out improved rural irrigation infrastructure. Objective 5 focuses on resilience. So the early objective was productivity, now we focus on resilience. And of course, irrigation, whenever we do household surveys, irrigation comes up as the top preferred climate change adaptation practice. And again, here they refer to smart irrigation, but also better rainwater management. Solar energy is actually mentioned, so which is exactly what we are now seeing more and more on the continent. So this is really all what CAADP wants to achieve. over the next 10 years or so. And the sixth area is governance, because we can, of course, not move forward unless we have suitable governance structures in place. And again, one of the governance areas is to better align sectoral policies across agriculture, energy, water, infrastructure. So it's a pretty big program, and obviously implementation depends very much on what the countries want, right? The needs will differ by country in Africa. And so we have already done 2 dialogues, one in Kigali as part of the Agri-Food System Forum, and we did one at Cairo Water Week, where we basically asked, different country representatives what they think is needed to implement this cut-up strategy for them on the irrigation side. Because if you cannot improve irrigation, and if you cannot improve agricultural water management, for sure the cut-up strategy will fail. And so I think this is our job to make sure that the agricultural water management balance or basis for implementation of cut-up is achieved. And in terms of just in Cairo, what people said was the key challenge for getting irrigation off the ground is policy environment. So there are no suitable policies that can be used by districts or by the private sector to help accelerate irrigation. And the other area that they mentioned is that there is a lack of capacity building. So there's a lack of capacity of extension services, lack of capacity of ministries, and obviously also even lack of incentives for the private sector to invest in irrigation technology. So those were the 2 key areas. And so how can we move forward with a cut-up strategy implementation on the irrigation side? This is a generic framework that works pretty much for everything, but also for accelerating irrigation. The first thing is we need to generate the knowledge. We know there's a huge lack of knowledge on groundwater resources that can be sustainably used in Africa, also in Nigeria, and there is a project that we will introduce tomorrow where Adust, our collaborator, is developing exactly the knowledge to help government, finance institutions, and private sector actors to help accelerate irrigation. Then we also need the motivation. Do farmers have an interest in accelerating irrigation? Do government actors have an interest in supporting small-scale irrigation, not only large-scale irrigation? So those are other areas we can work on. And finally, we need coordinated action. We need agency. So once we know what the resource base are, once we, there's an interest, as we understand it's profitable, but we still need agency. We need land rights. We need access to finance. And we need to know which crops to grow. And so with this little start, I really look forward to the rest of the session. And I hope you all have now some idea of why irrigation, agricultural water management, and cut-up are 2 coins of the same story. So, and we really have to move this forward over the next 10 years. This is the year where cut-up is coming together to develop plans, and implementation will start next year. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Already set the scene, and that was very good. So my job is just to dive deep into CAADP and link it to what at the African Union Commission, what we plan to do in CAADP based on the Kampala Declaration. My name is Mure Agmulaho. I work at the African Union Commission. I hope I can handle this. Okay. Yes, first of all, I wanted us to at least give an idea of what CAADP is all about, because I know that in the garden like this, many of us have not heard about CAADP. CAADP is actually the agenda for agricultural development in the continent. It is a comprehensive and agricultural development program. It is a program of the African Agenda 2063, which is called the African We Want. And I'm sure you must have heard about the Agenda 2063. That is the development plan in the next 50 years. It was launched in 2013, and it is a 50 years ambitious plan of what we want, where we want Africa to be in 50 years. So CAADP is a flagship program of the Agenda 2063. Now, I said the CAADP is a set of principles and strategies that member states are to prioritize developing their strategy. But so CAADP, this thing is messing up. Yeah. Food insecurity, to reduce food insecurity, underinvestment to raise investment in agriculture, shown in 2000, 2000, which spoke on how to sustainably increase water infrastructure in the continent. Then there was also the Site Declaration in 2004 in Libya. There was the Abuja 2006 Food Security Summit, also, which emphasized issues of irrigation. Then there was the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration in 2008. This was in Egypt. Then we have the 2014 CAADP Malabo, and now we have the framework for irrigation development that was presented yesterday by IMI. So this is what we have been doing in terms of heads of state commitment to increasing irrigation and agricultural management in the continent. Now, this is a framework. The CAADP framework, the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, is a 10-year program. So we have the first one was in 2003, where we have the Maputo. We have the Maputo Declaration, and the first pillar of Maputo Declaration was actually on sustainable land and water management. The heads of state also identify issues of land and water management as key in agricultural production and reducing food insecurity in the continent. This was back in 2003. Then in 2014, so the Maputo Declaration ran from 2003 to 2013. That was the 10 years. Then after Maputo, in 2014, there was the Malabo Declaration from 2014 to 2025. And the Malabo, we have 7 commitments, or the 7 strategic objectives, and also the issue of water, irrigation, agricultural management also featured prominently in the Malabo commitment. But beginning from next year, this is the last year of Malabo, 2015, so 2025. From next year, we'll be implementing the Kampala Declaration. So I will just talk more on this, on the Kampala Declaration. The theme of the Kampala Declaration, like Claudia also said, we have shifted away from pure agriculture to agri-food system transformation. So the reason is to take care of not just agricultural production, but in terms of also value addition in terms of food issues. And the approach to use is, one, we want to adopt a broader agri-food system approach. That is the key in Kampala, that we need to adopt a broader agri-food system approach. Then also there's a need to create a sustainable and resilient system. This is flagged in the Kampala that will benefit the farmers. Here also in Kampala, you will see in the subsequent slide that the focus is on smallholder farmer. Yes, because it's very obvious in the continent that the smallholder farmers are the ones that produce most of the food. So there's a need to focus on the smallholder farmers, and also the need to improve livelihoods of rural communities. The first strategic objective, I think Claudia also talked about the 4 or 5 strategic objectives. The first strategic objective out of the 6 in Kampala targets increasing agricultural productivity through strengthening input system. And the input system there include water, fertilizer, and the advisory services. Then also it focuses on promoting the use of technologies, emerging technologies such as AI and the other digital tools in promoting climate smart agriculture in the continent. But what are the implementation, the policy and investment direction that Kampala stresses? There are 7 of them or 8 of them, but let me just dwell on the first one. Kampala insists that, or Kampala is advising that we adopt a program approach. And I think yesterday also, when I made my intervention, I also said is that the issue of running with projects in irrigation development will not favor us. It's good to have a standing plan, 10 years, 20 years irrigation development plan, instead of running with projects, 5 years, 2 years project, this comes and go, which must be able to align our development using irrigation development plan that is long term. So that is emphasized in Kampala. Then also, we also preaching that you don't take irrigation in isolation. In fact, the challenge now is that, the approach is take agricultural input, especially productive input, as a package. You don't just take irrigation or take fertilizer or take agro-service or agrochemicals. So it's good to take them as a package. In that way, we are able to have a very robust system. Then also, that irrigation development strategy must be farmer-centric, must be focused on farmer, and the smallholder farmer is actually emphasized in Kampala. Then also, in alignment with that, there's a need to develop for countries or member states to have their irrigation development strategy that will identify roles for stakeholders. There's a need to have clearly defined roles for each stakeholder so that they know where they come in and where they can operate, especially the private sector for irrigation value chain development. Then also for those large-scale schemes that already exist, though we are focusing on smallholder, for the large-scale scheme that already exists, there's a need to climate-proof this infrastructure so that we're able to last over time and not being affected by the vagaries of weather. Then also there's a need to strengthen land and water access. This is key. Without land and water access and land security, it will be difficult to really take irrigation forward. And also to strengthen the Water Users Association. This is key, and I'm happy that yesterday also this was flagged in the ministry's presentation. So this is the approach in terms of the policy and investment approach for CAADP. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. I think that gives us a very substantial information on CAADP from 2003 to up to now for the last 30 years, and especially on the importance of agriculture, water management, and irrigation, particularly in agriculture transformation on the continent. So if you have, again, questions and comments and anything, just please keep with you. We will come to you after the panel session. Now, I would like to hand over to my colleague. Okay, sorry, I have just an information. So let me introduce Madam, is it Madam Esther, right? Yes. Madam Esther, Engineer Esther, who is from the Ministry of, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, and she's the Director of Irrigation and Drainage, and she has a keynote speech. Please kindly come and welcome.
Good evening, all distinguished delegates from across African countries. I appreciate the involvement of IMI and IFPRI for the side events that have been so much rich. I should have given them this much earlier because I've been busy with other sessions. So I was seated at the back. I thought we were going to start early. But let me just read my speech. It is a profound honor to address everyone today at this crucial side event organized by the International Food Research Institute, IFPRI. I bring warm greetings from the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, from my Honorable Minister and the Permanent Secretary in Nigeria and our nation as well. And we are firmly committed to the African Union's vision for a prosperous, food secure, and resilient continent. Setting the stage, Africa's agricultural transformation is one of the areas I want to talk about. As we gather here in Abuja, Nigeria, we are reminded that this is more than a meeting of minds. It is a moment of collective accountability and renewed ambition. Our task is to renew the Malabo Declaration commitments under the Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Program, CAADP, and enhance the future outlined in the Kampala Declaration some years ago. The frameworks are not mere declarations, but pathways. Identify the path. They challenge us to transform food systems, secure water and energy, create jobs, safeguard our environment. Nigeria is walking this path, not without challenges, but with unwavering resolve. CAADP and the Malabo Declaration. Nigeria's progress under the Malabo Declaration has to do with our commitment to enhancing agricultural investment, increasing resilience, and ending hunger. Water is a central pillar of that commitment, and we in the ministry, that is the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, recognize that Meaningful agricultural transformation cannot occur without sustainable water resource management and irrigation development. One of the flagship interventions is the transforming irrigation management in Nigeria that we all know very well. The project, which was born out of the Malabo vision. TRIMI has rehabilitated and expanded major irrigation schemes, not limited to one or two river basins, but we have about 3 river basins involved. We have Adeja Jamari River Basin, Sokoto River Basin, and the Upper Benue River Basin Development Authorities. Then enhance water users associations capacity and improve sector governance. Today, TRIMI spans over 32,000 hectares, and it involves restoration, reconstruction, and expansion. It is a testament to how continental declarations can yield real change at the grassroots level. It is an example of policy turning into action and action delivering results. Then transitioning into the Kampala Declaration, we also turn towards horizon as we assess our performance under Malabo. The Kampala Declaration sets forth 4 intercontinental goals. Nigeria is aligning our strategies to deliver on each. On transforming agri-food system must be resilient, equitable, nutrition sensitive. In Nigeria, we have scaled up climate-smart agriculture and irrigation-based food production. Our collaboration with farmers, local government, private sector, and even the state have increased during the dry season farming, helping stabilize food availability to some extent, as well as the prices. Furthermore, initiatives like the National Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agro Pockets, and the revitalization of water users have empowered smaller, older farmers with access and voice. Then, under ensuring water, energy, and environmental security, Nigeria is fully committed to integrated water resource management. We have prioritized the development of multipurpose dams, rural and peri-urban water supply schemes, and solar-powered irrigation systems. Our National Water Resources Master Plan, I'm almost rounding up, a plan to bring updated information to reflect new climate realities, democratic trends, and the needs of our food production agenda. We are also advancing the water sanitation hygiene wash action plan, knowing that water for agriculture must not compete with water for human dignity. Promoting inclusive growth and job creation. Africa's young population must be seen not as a burden, but as our greatest asset. In Nigeria, we intentionally target women and youth through capacity building, vocational training, in irrigation system management, and access to finance for agri-businesses. Through TRIMI that I mentioned earlier and similar programs, new employment opportunities have been generated in construction, agri-business, and local water governance, unlocking value chains and stimulating rural economies. Strengthening climate resilience and sustainability. Nigeria is experiencing the realities of climate change, erratic rainfall, flooding, and desertification. We experienced this, in recent times, which is part of climate change that we experience globally. In response, we are scaling up water harvesting technologies, expanding flood control infrastructure, and promoting efficient water use in agriculture. Our ministry is also integrating climate risk assessments into the planning and design of new irrigation and drainage system, ensuring that our infrastructure stands the test of time. Call to action towards a stronger partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, declarations only succeed when accompanied by partnership, evidence, and a political will. We commend IFPRI and all research institutions that continue to generate the data and policy insights which guide the various steps that we take, both not only in Nigeria, but other parts of Africa. We call our African peers and development partners to invest in cross-border knowledge sharing, joint water management, water basin management, and innovative financing mechanisms that can bridge the funding gap for water and food system infrastructure. Nigeria stands ready to learn, lead and collaborate. Let us not see the Malabo and Kampala declarations as separate chapters, but as a single unfolding story, one which our generation must rise to the challenge. Let us be the ones who move from policy to performance, from vision to victory. Thank you all. God bless our nation, Nigeria. God bless African continent, and God bless the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Engineer Esther. That's a very powerful speech. And I think for some of us who don't have much knowledge what Nigeria is doing in terms of water, agriculture management, irrigation, and climate change, and all the challenges we have in particular in the agri-food system, I think this is a very useful information for all of us to digest. Thank you once again, Madam. This is really, so let's give one more time to our hands to her, to Madam. All right, so Madam, you can now take your seat. Yes, please. Okay. So now, without delay, now let me invite my colleague, Hyacinth Ede, to facilitate the panel sessions.
Thank you very much, Bedru. And once again, welcome everybody to this session. This session, like we all know, is a panel discussion. We hope it will be very educative and exciting because of the mix of experts that we have on the panel. Without wasting much time, I think we need just to get started. To join me on this discussion, the Africa Director for Research Impact, International Water Management Institute, Dr. Olufunke Kofi. Please, you're welcome. Joining her on the podium here is Valerie Nzeyimana of the FAO, United Nations. He is the Senior Water Development and Management Officer. You're welcome, sir. To join them is the Director, AGRA, the Country Director, Rufus Idris. As he's taking a seat, I invite Tabi Karikari, I think I pronounced that correctly, Chief Agri Expert of the bank, African Development Bank. And the last but not the least is Khadijat Amolebe of the World Bank, an economist. Please, can we put a round of applause for them? So because of time, as she takes her seat, I just want to say that this will be very brief, just 2 rounds of questions of 3 minutes each, so that we can have enough time for discussions, questions, and the response. This panelist, just like I want to borrow from what Claudia said, I said, if irrigation fails, CAADP fails. I think that's one thing I took out of her comment. If irrigation fails, CAADP fails. So that's it. So I would say for us to move on, we want to hear from them in such a way that irrigation will not fail and CAADP will not fail. So on this note, I'll just go straight. Just like I said, we'll have 2 rounds of questions that for each panelist. Please, I will not go in this order. I'll just randomly pick the person to respond. Let me start because money is key. Finance is key. To everything you do, finance is very, very key. So when we talk about irrigation and infrastructure, if this fund is not there, then I don't think it will succeed. So let's start with that important component of that side. And that brings me to Tabi of the African Development Bank. The role of the bank and similar institutions towards developing irrigation. What are those roles that you think, looking at the Kampala Declaration?
Yeah, thank you very much. Please permit me to stand already established protocols to firstly bring you greetings from African Development Bank, and in particular from our Director General, Dr. Abdul Kamara. African Development Bank African Development Bank, as I assume we know, is a bank that is mandated for the socio-economic development of regional member countries in Africa. And then we mobilize financial resources and then provide the financial resources for various countries to do developmental activities. We have a 10-year strategy that is looking at inclusive growth, and it's also looking at green growth. And to bring this into sharper focus, there are some 5 priority areas that the bank has considered. One of the priority areas is Feed Africa, which is looking exactly at agriculture. Industrialized Africa is looking at value addition, looking at agri-food systems. Improved livelihood is looking at generally livelihood issues. So you will see that there's a lot of presence of looking at Africans getting food and getting the right nutrition in our policy. Now, over the last years, the bank has done a lot of engagements at very high level. We have had the Feed Africa Summit held in Dakar, where we had a number of head of states, among others, to engage in trying to prioritize agriculture as key to our economies. This became very real to us as a bank with the happenings around the COVID, followed by the Russia and Ukraine war, and even in more recent times with the withdrawal of some aid from some countries and then introduction of tarifications and other things. It's making us more and more realize that we have to do the basic for ourselves, that is to be able to feed ourselves. We mobilize about 1.5 billion to do an emergency food production, African emergency food production facility for regional member countries, which countries subscribe to, and then we use it to support them to enhance productivity of staples that are consumed within the countries. I heard the director talking about the National Agricultural Growth System, and as I'm talking, we're designing a new one. So our first support is with financial products. We support the continent's regional member countries with various financial products. The second support that a role the bank plays in this is looking at knowledge products. We are not just a financial, we don't have just only financial, but we do have knowledge products. We develop a lot of knowledge products together with our partners. And then we use these knowledge products to build our initiatives like SAPZ and like other initiatives. TAT is one of them, which the country subscribe to, because when they take the money from us in terms of loan, they're expected to do something that is informed with knowledge. So we do quite some knowledge product as well. And the third one that I would mention is we catalyze the partnerships. The bank is a bank of choice for many countries. It's a trusted partner. And in many cases, we're able to bring together partners, ourselves, IFPRI, the World Bank, other financiers, for us to be able to more comprehensively approach certain initiatives. So our role in this is in these 3 that I've mentioned: financial products, knowledge products, and catalyzing partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabi, for that. Financial product, knowledge product. And one important thing that I've taken away is this partnership, which is very, very important. Bringing everybody together, being able to facilitate engagement amongst partners. So moving on, let me just quickly call on the IMI, President Olufunke Kofi. Just like the Tabi mentioned, some areas, knowledge product, generating knowledge products. I know IMI also is one of the CG centers that also is involved in generating knowledge product. The question now is, yes, what further roles, including that knowledge generating knowledge product that IFPRI can, or rather IMI, work to give us in terms of supporting this particular declaration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me to be part of this panel. The whole process has been very paramount to us within the CGR, IMI particularly, and we have been part of the process of engagement, just like IFPRI as well, leading to the formulation of the current strategy. So we're very excited that agricultural water management is very prominent in the strategy. Now we have it, but we have to roll it out. We have to start implementing, and that's when the work is beginning, actually. When we look at research organizations like IMI, we're focused on water management, but it's not only water. Even when we're looking at water, when we think about the presentation of Claudia and about, my brother Murray, there were other things that we have to go with that water issue. So we have to look at more holistic things when it comes to research. So the knowledge product that Tabi talked about, before it can even land, a lot of things we have to go into it, a lot of processes, a lot of engagement and all that. There's still quite few things to do. So we'll be looking at how exactly within IMI, and also within the CGR, if I can speak a little bit about that, because last week we were at the CG Science Week and we had a lot of deliberations on this process, on how the CGR as a collective can actually support the implementation. So we've been looking at the specific areas, and particularly with IMI, we try to articulate means and ways of supporting the implementation. One is about continuous engagement with the CAADP. Even though we have it, we have to continue that engagement and frame technical assistance, which is beyond knowledge product. The whole sort of kind of adversary role that we can play from science to support, the implementation. We are yet to determine specific indicators that we're going to monitor. We have to define that, particularly water indicators that we're going to monitor in the next couple of years. So we have to engage in the process of identifying and defining those kind of set of indicators, and of course providing this water-related adversary role to the member states of Africa. So one, technical assistance. Another thing is also institutional and individual capacity development is very important to strengthen the institutions, in terms of whether it is infrastructure for water management, whether it is techniques or technologies and all that. We need to be able to provide evidence-based solutions that will inform, the choices that member states are making, or the way they develop the plan to roll out the CAADP process. Another thing is, and I mentioned in our previous session, when you see that sometimes what we do in the research is not translating into outcome because of the divide, We need to bridge the divide between science, policy, practice, and ensure that we carry out water-focused research and data analytics, for the Kampala CAADP support to all AU member states. So there's quite a lot of work to do, a lot of research activities to do where the people that have money like IFDB or the World Bank or other donors can really support the research community to deliver. And the good news is that within the CGR, we are taking this one seriously, and at the African level, we're already coordinating among all the CG centers how we will bring our strengths together. IMI is just one. IFPRI is there looking at food policy. We have ITA, even in this country, for example. We have many siege centers that are operating with specific mandates and expertise and experience. So at the African level, we're already coordinating on how we want to bring ourselves together to support the implementation of the CAADP, the Kampala Declaration to all the member states. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that insight. What is maybe key is that aspect, science to act. The looking at what has to be done in terms of also bridging the gap between research and the actual implementation, because it's one thing to do a very good research. One thing other is to take up the research findings to implement, and I'm happy that the ministry is here and they were engaging. IFPRI has been engaging with the ministry for years now, and I hope that this also will be very helpful. Thank you very much on that front. So moving on, FAO, one of our development partners. I know this also going to say Food and Agriculture Organization. So even the name alone, means that this is on your shoulder also. So how do you intend to carry this particular? I would say it's a weight for you and for the African continent.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to this panel. I'm Valer Nzeimana. I'm the Senior Water Development and Management Officer at FAO Regional Office for Africa. I repeat because my name seems to be difficult. Some call me Valerie, and then I become lady. But I'm Valer. Yeah. The role of FAO as a development partner is to support government. FAO support member countries. So in supporting countries and government, we have in this Kampala Declaration, we have 5 points where we can really support and make a good, let's say, improvement. One will be to support government to develop and enforce policies and regulation that promote sustainable use of water in agriculture. That one we have been doing it. We have been based on African Union, this irrigation development and agricultural water management framework. We have helped already the IGAD, the East African Community, and COMESA to develop their regional irrigation strategy. We are also carrying out some other action on water roadmaps, national water roadmaps. Second is to promote efficient irrigation technologies. So there is capacity building. Capacity building, which is normally not only the engineers. We need in water to have all field of expertise. We need journalists who really understand water. We need lawyers. We were talking about rights. But you go to someone who is normally on a commercial business. Yeah, I just finished. I have one. Yeah. So then he doesn't understand water. We have a problem with the social workers who do not understand water business. So all those put together make the schemes just the lifespan will never go beyond 5 years. After 5 years, when you come, you think nothing has been done. When the cost was $15,000, $20,000 per hectare. So that's the promotion of it. And then the last one is the use of non-conventional waters. That is, FAO has developed already guidelines, but it has never been promoted widely. So, because with the water scarcity, all water sources have to be used. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Yes, thank you very much. I think that just like you said, maybe I'll have to go for a course on how to pronounce your name. So thank you very much for that insight into what, and again, I agree with you that sustainability is also very, very key, and for it to be sustainable, the people need to be part of it. So just because panelists here from the FDB, I would have loved to have you, but again, even before this, he has mentioned that he has a flight to catch. We just needed to push him, and he's here. So please, I think we will permit you to go now, and yeah, so that you don't miss your flight. Thank you very much for that. Please, a round of applause for him. So. All right, so while he takes his leave, I just want to say something about just like what you mentioned in terms of the buy-in. You've mentioned a lot of things that you're doing, and one challenge is, like we all know, even in a lot of development activities, once it's done, the people say, okay, we've gotten our own, and that's the end. Everybody disappears. Yeah. So intensifying ownership among these beneficiaries, I think, is very, very key. All right. So I have I will go to the bank again. This time, the World Bank, please. Amulegbe Busola, I think. Yeah. Thank you very much. So we know that. Women are very key. A large proportion of agricultural activities are carried out by women and the youth. And I know that the bank is also doing some things in these areas. If just let us know the roles the bank will be able to play. Because even in the Kampala Declaration, probably I've not really gone very deep into it to see if there are specific areas for gender. We always say gender mainstreaming, yeah. But again, I think it's very, very key to the success of the Kampala Declaration. So,
thank you very much. I was hoping you would ask me the last question so that I can put you on the spot and say gender is always the afterthought. So you put us at the last and not, yeah.
So I'm safe.
I was hoping.
I beat you to that.
So thank you very much for inviting me. Let me introduce myself again. Not my name, actually, because he pronounced my name well. But then I'm from the Gender Innovation Lab at the bank. So we are from the knowledge side of the bank. But then the way the bank works is, of course, we take the multi-sectorial approach. So we work with teams working on specific operations, specific projects, just like the trimming project you mentioned. So I'm happy you already spoke about trimming. So I won't be talking about trimming. I'll just be talking about what we do at the Gender Innovation Lab. So at the World Bank Africa Gender Innovation Lab, we promote what works to address gender gaps across key economic sectors, including the agricultural sector. So we do a lot of rigorous impact evaluation studies. And after we've done all of these, we engage well within the bank with task teams to help them in designing their projects. And we also engage with the government partners in their policy making and the rest. So the issue of gender is not really at the implementation stage. Gender inclusion is taken into consideration during the design and also during the implementation of projects. So for example, at the Gender Innovation Lab, we've done a lot of deep dive studies to help in designing projects well to help address key gender constraints. We have the Gender Diagnostic Reports, which was our flagship report that sort of laid the foundation for how we work in Nigeria. And in this report, we're able to identify the gender gaps, placed a figure on the gender gap. And in the agricultural sector, we know that there is a 30 percentage points gender gap in agriculture. We also were able to identify the drivers of this gap, and we're also able to do a cost-benefit analysis to say that, okay, if you don't do this, what is the cost? And if you do this, what is the cost to the benefit to the GDP? We also did the public expenditure review on gender within the agricultural sector. And in this area, we were able to identify that the investments in or the way government spend generally, there's a huge gender gap in that respect, because the investments, the projects funded are projects where men are concentrated and not necessarily areas where women are concentrated. So there is a huge gender gap in spending, which we use to inform how we engage with the task teams and also how we engage with government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have one of the panelists that have not spoken. If not, I will just start with you so that I don't fall into giving the gender the last position. So, all right. So, this goes to AGRA. AGRA is like the name, a revolution, green revolution in Africa. And when we look at the Kampala declaration, starting from even from the first declaration of we have Maputo, Malabo, and then this Kampala. It's more like a revolution in the agricultural sector, right, all over. So from your side, AGRA has been in Nigeria and in Africa, especially Nigeria, working. From your side, your role to support this area of the Kampala Declaration, which is the irrigation development. What are the roles of AGRA in this front?
Thank you so much. So AGRA used to be the Green Revolution in the past, Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. But AGRA is no longer into Green Revolution. AGRA has moved to food system transformation. And that's also, you can see, part of our role and participation in the recent Kampala Declaration has made it that it's no longer just agri-led or agri-focused. It's more of the agri-food system focus, which is the declaration now. So thank you so much for that question. I also want to say that AGRA is an alliance, so we don't implement directly. We work with a lot of partners, building local capacities within the country, working with government, working with organizations, working with farmer groups, private sector, and the likes to get things done. But we are strongly committed to ensuring the success of CAADP. And we've done that from inception. AGRA currently is pushing and supporting how we advance the objectives of CAADP, the 6 objectives of CAADP around the continent. And also in Nigeria, for instance, we're doing something similar. If you also look at our work as it relates to agricultural water management and irrigation, to see the importance of that, we actually supported heavily on the technical, financial, and also operational delivery of the Kampala Summit, which gave back to the Kampala Declaration. And in that document, you can see that irrigation, for instance, the importance of that was mentioned 20 times in that particular document, just to emphasize how serious irrigation work is. And I want to talk about also using 3 examples from the 3 objectives, and just take 3 from the 6 objectives to show how we are doing similar work, for instance, in Nigeria, as advancing work around this area. Number 1, let's look at the issue of boosting investment and financing in the agri-food system, focusing on irrigation, for instance. So AGRA has been working heavily to support a lot of states in Nigeria, for example, Kaduna State, Niger State, Nasarawa State, to work seriously on what they call the Agricultural Investment Plan. And in that investment plan, you're looking at also how you can also look at the issue of water management and also irrigation and how you can get investment into that space in the respective state. And once that's done designing, we're also giving them TA to support them in actually catalyzing or mobilizing resources to actually be able to implement some of those activities there. We're doing something similar now in discussion with the federal government to see that we don't only have the state agricultural investment plan, how do we also have a national agricultural investment plan that fits into CAADP in that design, which is an ongoing discussion now with the federal government of Nigeria. In addition to that also, we have a lot of consortium of partners that we've invested in that are doing various interventions to help improve access to finance, like we talked about. Some of it doing angel investor investing, getting money through national traditional financial institutions or even innovative financing. Most of it are supporting irrigation work and work that relates to water management as well in that space. The third one under that space is also a project that we're currently working on with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. It's called the Legacy Project. Every country, for instance, we have to determine what project they want to do that will have a long-lasting impact over a long period of time. So during the Kampala summit, we made a commitment to the minister that we're going to support Nigeria to present a legacy project in September when we have the Africa Food System Forum in Senegal. And that will help raise significant amount of resources to forge the agenda. The minister is looking at the issue around post-harvest management, post-harvest loss management, and also issue around irrigation and the likes within that space. If you look at another objective around building a resilient agri-food system that can withstand or adapt to shock stressors in the space, we're doing a lot of work supporting groups that are helping farmers to embrace more of climate-smart agricultural practices, which involves some of the irrigation process there, involve a lot of weather advisory services, insurance, and some things, also adopting improved variety that can help them build resilience against some of the shocks of climate change. And also on that as well, we are currently talking with the Office of the Vice President that's helping to coordinate a project with other agencies of the government. It's called the Irrigate Nigeria project. The idea is that we want to support a mega flagship around irrigation. So that's ongoing. We're supporting the technical assistance for the design of that particular work that will involve a lot of the multi-sector players that will be part of that. And the last part quickly, it's the area of talking about strengthening agri-food system governance. We've done this very, very well. We're still doing that now. So we are doing a lot of work supporting state governments to build the capacity, like you mentioned earlier during your presentation, to be able to not just implement projects, to be able to monitor and coordinate the space very well, to be able to get a stronger M&E system that can help them track and use data very, very well within that space. And just this morning, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture actually launched the technical committee that will assist Nigeria to domesticate the Kampala Declaration. And AGRA is one of those members in the committee that will be doing how to support both financially and technically to help make that happen in Nigeria. That's just a few areas that we're supporting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. Thank you so much for this support. Okay. All right. So I think it's very exciting to know, also insightful to know about the number of times irrigation word occurred in the document. Right. I think that's why Claudia mentioned that when irrigation fails, CAADP fail, because when in a document you have about 20 times irrigation. So if anything happens to that the word, then definitely we'll have a challenge in the declaration, implementing the declaration. Just a follow-up question. What are the key knowledge gaps you think and the CAADP framework that you think need to be addressed to move forward?
So I think both of the first presentation that we had at the beginning of this panel session actually highlighted some of them. One is the knowledge gap even within the water users and some of the smallholder farmers, for instance, to be able to know a lot of the efficient water management practices and how to actually deploy and take them forward. Another very important one is how to know also the gap around how to develop the financing mechanism for irrigation project. A lot of people don't even know how to design. How do you finance that? We're struggling with a lot of designs that will come up, and it's difficult to get who pays for the irrigation services, and how do you sustain it as a business and not just as a project at the time, which I think you also mentioned during your presentation. Another important part has also been the failure in design. So most times we get irrigation projects somewhere that worked somewhere else and just dump it on our farmers on our location here in Nigeria. Knowing the context and designing to fit the purpose within that space, like you talk about, it has to be smallholder farmer-centric as well, and also context-centric within that space. I think another very important one I have to look at also it's that gap around data. We currently struggle with the right kind of data that will make the right kind of information to build a sustainable irrigation project in the country as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rufus, for that insight. I agree with you totally on data. We're just looking at LSMS. They recently released the Living Standard Measurement Survey and Integrated Survey on Agriculture, submitted by the World Bank. And we're looking at irrigation. And we have, of the 5,000 households, less than 2%, I would say, data point that we have in that data set. Less than 2%. So in fact, when we say 5,000 households, we know that the farmland, the farmlands are more than the plots are more than the household, because the households will have more than one plot. Yeah, so we have about just 200 So data is very, very important, and we're just brainstorming, trying to figure out what happened. If we say that irrigation or irrigated areas are increasing, what actually happened in terms of capturing that type of data. And also, I agree with you, looking at water as either a common or private goods. It's always a challenge in that front. Thank you very much. So, moving on to Khadijat. Again, I'm not giving you as the last first. So this time, you're so passionate about the women gender, because when we talk about gender, it's more like we're looking at the women. I had a challenge 2 days ago when I visited the ministry, and they said, somebody said, no, don't say gender, call it the name, women, not gender, just women. So I'll just take that correction and say women. In terms of how do we support them, this group, to participate in the implementation of CAADP?
Thank you very much. It's still gender, because it's what the data is telling us to talk about. If the data flips, it's still gender, but then the intervention will be focused more on the gender category that is most affected or more affected. So in terms of the interventions, on the trimming project, for example, most of the interventions designed within the project is more of trying to lift women to leadership position within the water user councils, for example. But then based on the our impact evaluation study that we've done across different countries, not necessarily Nigeria, we've identified interventions that work to help address the gender productivity gap in agriculture. And the drivers of this gap, for example, in terms of crop choice, women generally farm low-earning crops. We also have a driver related to access to inputs, because women don't have the necessary inputs, herbicides, fertilizer to make them do better in agriculture. And another driver is in terms of access to finance, as the time constraints that they face. Because even the domestic responsibility, when you talk about access to water, the domestic responsibility falls on women to go look for water. Water for household use, and even water for irrigation facility. And when there is no, when the irrigation facilities are not enough, then women may be discouraged to actually go into the agricultural sector. So in terms of interventions that have been tested, we have interventions focusing on providing input directly to the women. We also have interventions around the extension program, not just doing the necessary extension training that we do, but then including personal initiative training within the extension package that we give out. We also have interventions around couples-based training. And on another project that we are working on, the AgriSal project, which is situated within the Ministry of Environment, I think, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, we are trying to develop a digital agricultural precision tool to help reach the last mile, to help better reach the female farmer, but then in collaboration with some intra-household intervention, so that household will allocate their resources effectively to help them better use the resources within the household. Then we have interventions trying to address the time constraint problem that women face within the household, especially in rural areas. We are trying to advocate for more creches in rural areas, because you hardly find creches or childcare facilities in rural areas. So we are trying to advocate that when you are also pushing for agricultural intervention, you should also advocate for all of these facilities or all of these interventions that address the constraints, so that women can benefit from the agricultural investment. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Thank you very much for that. Just for want of time, we'll quickly move to Valerie. I think I get it this time around. In terms as a development partner.
Don't worry, you are not the first one. I even sometimes get emails saying Miss Valerie. Then, but don't worry, it's another problem.
So, as a development partner, what areas do you think will need to be looked into to support in terms of knowledge gaps that institutions like IFPRI, for instance, it will encourage that we should look into this that will be beneficial to not just FAO, but also to other development partners trying to achieve the objective of the CAADP Kampala Declaration.
Yeah, briefly, we are having two sides. Again, as it has been said, data. Data is key, but sometimes I think people, they look far to know what they should have. Normally, we should collect all data. If I give an example, Madam Director, will you excuse me? There have been flooding around. If we ask how much water has been passing, we will not get it. If I'm wrong, I will be happy. But sometimes when it passes, no one is counting how much water has passed. And yet, it is to happen. So we don't know how much water has passed. We may know how much properties have been damaged, but that amount of water, we don't know. The amount of water passed 5 years ago, we don't know. Those are kind of data we should know to be able to face the problems. Because even if you go in irrigation, but you cannot face flooding, things will be destroyed. Houses and properties. So we need that kind of data. We need to know how much rain has been falling. Those are data that are required. There are conventional data we should have, but yet, because we have a satellite, we have VAPO, we can know this one, we can know that one, we lose focus on that one at very local level. And we don't have our own satellite to just on, let's say, life following those. So it is a problem on data and data in each and everything. Really, we should have that one. Second is knowledge. I mean, capacity building.
To impart in some of these projects and also extend to other projects. Then IMI, yes, we are ready to go on with the MOU. Once we are set, we'll be able to do the needful. But AGRA and all our development partners, IFPRI, everyone, FAO, World Bank, please know that Federal Ministry of Agriculture, yes, you can collaborate with them. But please don't forget that you can't do all year round farming without water. No water, no cropping, no farming. So what we have discovered is, incidentally, agriculture has irrigation unit. And if care is not taking all the collaboration, I heard you mentioning something, Agra, about how you are related with Agri, you are doing this, and you are talking of irrigation. Where are we in water resources? So you need to involve the federal, in order for us to, to be able to achieve all these things together. Please, you need to extend whatever you are doing. IFPRI, Agra, IMI, I don't even need to preach to you. World Bank, we need to work and carry water resources along. Because if they are doing body scaling, they are just doing pockets of irrigation area. But invariably, we discovered that many things are being done. Then you talk about the design that you are working. I'm sure you are also working with Naseni. And then flagship of Irrigate Nigeria. Even on NICIT platform, the thing generated a lot of controversy that how can Naseni be flagging of Irrigate Nigerian project and the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and precisely Irrigation and Drainage Department, we are not involved. So my PAMSEC had to extend handshake. We invited the vice chairman, because the president is the chairman. We invited him, we talked together. So we are to be involved together. If you are working with Naseni, if you are working with Agri, whoever you are working with, water is very key.
Thank you. I think the message is clear. Let's work together. Let's collaborate. And yeah, we also at IFPRI work mostly with the Federal Ministry of Culture and Food Security, but ministry, the Water Resources Ministry is key now as irrigation issues becoming important. So yes, I think the mic is just there. We have short questions. So let's just introduce your name, your organization, and the question. Direct to the question without more background.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Evaristo Mapeza with International Water Management Institute based in Pretoria. My questions are directed for the World Bank on gender. The first one is that I think you explained a lot of the things that you're doing within projects, but I was wondering beyond projects, how are you addressing maybe norms and other cultural practice for gender transformation? And then the second question is that our regional director, Funke, mentioned that we have now opened an office here. What are the opportunities for collaborating, especially on gender issues within Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay, very quickly, my name is Ayo Oyedepo. Just like what the Director of Irrigation and Drainage just said, the point she made, I was actually going to ask on a very light note from what the Agraman presented. You seem to have like a magic wand in your engagement with the Ministry of Agric. A couple of the issues that have been raised in the course of this conference having to do with a sustainable implementation of the various ideas or policies that have been on ground. So you mentioned having been at a Kampala conference where you committed the Minister of Agric, so to speak, if I heard you right, to make a legacy project, whatever. So I know that if there are challenges, I don't know what the challenges might be with your engagement with the Ministry of Water Resources. I think it would be out of place to be implementing Irrigate Nigeria project when the primary custodians of irrigation and drainage are not being engaged. So tying my comments to the question is that whatever kind of capacity you have or relationship you have with the Ministry of Agriculture, is it possible that you extend that to water resources so that at the end of the day, and this is what happens both in the public sector and the private sector, when things are not integrated, when processes, applications, different strategies are not integrated, at the end of the day, lack of appropriate stakeholder engagement will eat up all the strategies, no matter how brilliant the strategies are, because they won't be sustainable. So what can you do to help us?
Thank you very much. My name is Bello Abayakase, and my question is partly answered, but it goes to all the panelists and your organizations. At a time, our problem is partially the availability of data, but partially accessibility. Now, all the organizations here have one set of data or the other for relevant areas. Are you at any time thinking of coming together to have one recipient data position where it will be like a one-stop shop for all types of data that I, as a consultant, or he, as an implementing agency, or the farmer, can go and access data without having to visit your different organizations? Thank you.
So we have one more question, and then we go to the panelists, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Engineer Hayak Dalhakazore. My question goes to the entire panelists and also the program we started this morning. I wanted to ask, when I hear about research in shelves, in institutions that carried out such research, I was wondering whether is it possible for the researchers or the scientists to catalyze research off-takers for innovation? Is there any effort like that? Because you can't continue to do research when nobody is taking the research forward and domesticate it to the level of the beneficiaries. So can't the researchers have an advocacy, a kind of forum and pressure group that can quickly influence the off-takers of research? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that questions, I know that questions, not maybe for all, but there is one specific person that can address that. So my sister, here, she's a director for research impact for Africa. So I just passed this to you.
You are starting with me. In terms of research, I'm just going to talk about the research we do within the CGIAR, within IMI. So we don't do research on the shelf. We do research for development. Means that in our research delivery, we identify upfront the ultimate beneficiaries, and we co-develop and co-implement to get an outcome. So we are not in the conventional academic environment where we put research results on the shelf. We have to look at the development outcomes. In fact, our donors will ask us, where is the impact? So that's what drives the research. So the problem and the goal, the impact we want to achieve is what drives our intervention. So already before we start, we're already thinking of who's going to use it and how the person is going to use it and get the person into it. So that is how we do it. So the off-takers are already part of the implementation that we do and the co-design. And let me quickly say something. And I'm speaking because I'm also a Nigerian. And on this panel, we were talking about, you talk to AGRA, you talk to everybody about not connecting. I think one of the major challenges we have in many African countries is that we need to get it right ourselves in our governance system. We need to do that internal coordination to help the development partners to help us very well. So if Water and Ministry of Water and Agri are not talking together, how do you want an external person to come in? So we need to, yes, we try our best. I mean, many countries, you know, we have the agri-sector working group, coordination working group in this country. We have in Ghana. We try to do that coordination. But the ultimate task belongs to the government. We need to get ourselves right. Let's coordinate ourselves. In some countries, there are some good countries. Rwanda, they're doing some good job. You can development partners don't just come and say, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to do. No, they coordinate themselves. They know, they have their blueprint. They said, this is where we are going. If you are going to help us, AGRA, this is what we want to do. And these are the responsible sector ministries. Let's go back to the drawing board. Within our civil service, our governance system, let's coordinate ourselves. Whatever may be the issue, let's sort it out. That would be very easy for the external people to come in. So that it's not fragmented, but that's not to say that you will not talk to the right people anyway. We need to balance, but we have our role to play. Yeah. I understand, but we need bigger work to do. And let's settle that one. Yeah. No, but honestly, to be honest, we all have roles to play. We must understand the stakeholders and the landscape where we are operating. We must talk to everyone. But even at that, the ultimate thing is that the ministries have to be together. There has to be a coordination mechanism where when programs are called, whatever it is, where we have, either it's at federal level or at the state level or at the local government level, I don't know where it's going to be, that we can all come and know that this is where we are going and we have direction. One more thing, somebody talked about coordination data. Yes, that's also another issue. Actually, the data that we generate is open access. But freely we were giving money to do it. Freely we deliver the output. We are not expected to hold it. It's available. But in a country too, part of that internal coordination we need to do is to have repository in our countries. You can, when the development partners come, you can tell them, give us money to develop a repository for water information system for Nigeria. So Ministry of Water, we made demand for that. So if World Bank is going to support, we say World Bank is going to help us to develop a water information system if we are ready to maintain it. And then IMI will come, we provide data, AGRA will come, we know we are filling gaps. but then it's sitting with you. We have to have a robust system to accommodate such an information system. So there's some homework we have to do in our own respective institutions so that we can tap into all these potentials we are talking about. Otherwise, it will remain with the institutions because there's no enabling environment to accommodate those things. So let's try to work on ourselves. Thank you.
I think you have your future president sitting here, huh? the first female president of Nigeria.
Thank you. So so there is a question for the World Bank. Yeah, please.
Sorry, my response will be very short. So because the question is around our engagement, do we just engage within the bank or do we relate with others? Of course, we relate with. All right. We relate with other, especially the government. We have engagements with the Ministry of Agriculture, Budget and Economic Planning, and I'm sure many of our colleagues, you've mentioned trimming. The people you are engaging with on trimming are also our colleagues. And you also mentioned ACRISA. These are projects funded by the bank. So we engage deeply with, especially in terms of our products, we engage deeply with governments. We help them in designing their policies. We are providing input even into the National Development Plan. We help them, even the agricultural gender policy, we provided input. And even the policy you mentioned, the irrigation policy, which is funded under the ACRISA project, we also provided input during the terms of reference here. So these are ways by which we engage, and we are also happy to collaborate if it aligns with what we do within the bank. We are open to any other engagement. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Because of time, so let's make sure. So we have a few comments from FAO, from AGRA, and from finally maybe from the African Union Commission.
I will not be long. I wanted to tell you that now we are talking about Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water, but Minister of Environment is not yet here to come and talk about the water we use and environment. And the Minister of Infrastructure is not yet here to talk about whatever infrastructure we're putting in place without telling them. So there is a need of coordination at the national level. It will not be done by neither of the group here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the earlier response already. So I just want to say that yes, AGRA is an alliance and we're open to that partnership. So we'll ensure that we get the Ministry of Water involved more. But I just want to put, just to clarify, that most times we have project initiators. So the way AGRA function, the Office of the Vice President has invited AGRA. We have this particular project that we have in mind to do for Nigeria. We've met with Bill Gates himself, and he said we should talk to AGRA. We have an Irrigate Nigeria project. This is what it is. Can you support the design? At the point of design, we'll get all the ministries that need to be on the table for the design to be there. So ordinarily, it's not in our role to start jumping into ministries when the Office of the VP is about to coordinate that for us. It will be like we're jumping the guns. Similar to what the minister is doing. So the minister was asked to come up with a legacy project for the country around the agricultural sector. And he had mentioned that his own priority would be post-harvest management. And he now mentioned that irrigation is not under him. The irrigation is under water resources, but he will bring water resources into the project. So I didn't go into those details at the time I was explaining. So definitely we'll partner with you and we'll make sure that that happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So final comments from Dr. Mueyu, and then IFPRI will close the session.
Thank you. I don't know what else do I say. But also I think it's more a vote of...
Sorry, please.
Yeah, so, but I think mine is more of like a vote of thanks, because mine is like a vote of thanks because at AU, we are a continental body and we need all these partners, and they have been very forthcoming and supporting. I cannot thank FAO enough. Most of the work we have done in irrigation, water management, it has been with their support. Also, AGRA, I know the role they play, even, like I said, in the rollout of Kampala. Even till now, AGRA is a big partner. IMI also, what's his name again? Greenwell and Company, and my friend is here also, Kinashi. So they have been very forthcoming. Also, I thank them very much. And also IFPRI, they have been with us. The World Bank was also with us. The director thanked AU for the training, for the capacity building that we have been. But if I tell her that I have received query from the Minister of Agriculture here, that why am I sending invitation to Minister of Water when Minister of Agriculture is there for irrigation? But you will not know that. You will not know that. But that is, I think that portrays the fact that you need to collaborate, you need to fine-tune how you work and relate with partners at the member state, at the country level. I don't know how Kenya is doing it, because also they have the same typology, Minister of Water, but I don't think there is much friction. I don't know. But let's learn from like Egypt. Egypt has Minister of Irrigation and Water, and they are doing well. Morocco, I don't know, they are also doing well. So at least at the country level, please see how you can work together so that we as partners also, we are comfortable that we are not breaking your protocol of going somewhere else when you want us to come here. Thank you very much.
Okay. My name is Rabi Abubakar. I appreciate the session. It went well. The development partners and all other persons have delivered what is needed. My concern is several things are happening, but no coordination. If you hold your information without sharing it to the general, I think we have one step forward, 2 steps backward. It will be appreciated if the International Water Management Institute will try to coordinate all the activities and share it to the system, especially with the Director, Irrigation and Drainage. The Director has organized several conferences and workshops along all the zones in the last 2-3 years with the numerous stakeholders. We appreciate that. But the lack of proper information dissemination really is an issue. Thank you.
So, yeah, thanks to everyone for staying so long. I think, as everyone said, this was a very animated session. Of course, because we had the partners and we had Ministry of Water Resources represented. And I think you all came because of the importance of this topic. CAADP is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to help us accelerate agriculture, water management for food security and nutrition. I think we have learned that there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do in Nigeria. There's a lot to do elsewhere in Africa. We have very limited human resources. Mure is a single person who's responsible for irrigation in Africa. And as he said, he can't do it alone, but he's the only AUC representative in this area. So I think thanks to you for coming to all of these important events, and also thanks to you for reaching out and for collaborating with all of us who all try to add a piece to make CAADP a reality. And we know CAADP can only be a reality if water management is taken seriously. And I loved your comment. Ministry of Agriculture has to shut down every 6 months because there's no more water. So if they don't work with the Ministry of Water Resources, that helps to bring water management for dry season agriculture production. So the other words we've heard, coordination, I think that's number one, and data sharing. We had, unfortunately, the lady from the World Bank left, but we, in our irrigation project in Nigeria, we were looking for data on gender and irrigation. There is nothing. There's just nothing. So we have to find out where these reports are on gender and agricultural water management in Nigeria, and we hope she can help us. So we have data challenges, coordination, so coordinating activities, coordinating data. And of course, the other part is still finance. We have a lot of small-scale farmers who would like to irrigate, but they do not have access to the finance, they do not have sufficient access to information on which irrigation technology works for them. So trimming is a great project, And I think our colleagues in Kano have found that there is more farmers irrigating outside of trimming, using the trimming water, than inside trimming. So those are all small farmers who are benefiting from a large-scale project. And so we want to see more of these small-scale farmers benefiting from agricultural water management. And so with that, I hope that you will all help us along in the journey of CAADP implementation that will actually start next year. So currently we're doing the prep meetings. And as you said, we need to hear, it's a demand-based approach. What does Nigeria, what does the Ministry of Water Resources really want? You know, what are the key needs that you need to make CAADP a reality in Nigeria? And I think all of the partners have to be involved in it. So just a hand to everyone in the room. I think it was a great session. Thank you.